after the D-Day invasion, June 1944. My father was a CB, that's a civil engineer in the Naval Construction Battalion. He was a first lieutenant. And Dad spent 5 months on the Normandy coast that summer on the cliff above the American landing beach, Omaha. He supervised the building of the camp, the unloading of the ships, coming over from England each day, and various construction projects. My father's part in the D-Day invasion changed his life. Years later, as I was growing up in the post-war baby boom generation, his stories about his time in France would change my life and shape the course of my life, and also shape my passions and my pursuits. But I didn't know that then. Dad would tell his stories about France as our family of 6 gathered around the yellow Formica table each evening for dinner. Dad loved to tell how his French teacher from South Dakota, who had never heard French, made s'il vous plaît come out sounding like silver plate. But he smiled, remembering the kindness and the patience of the French at his efforts. But my favorite story was about the orphan Gilbert Duclos. It was always pronounced Gilbert the French way, not Gilbert. Dad spotted the skinny 7-year-old child who was hanging around the camp. And my dad hated to see someone who looked so undernourished. So he invited Gilbert to eat with them in the officers' mess for lunch. That became a daily occurrence, and soon Gilbert was riding around with my dad in the Jeep as he made his rounds. If Dad left for the day, Gilbert would be waiting when he returned. This is Gilbert with another soldier, but you can see how cute he was. They became so close that Dad tried unsuccessfully to adopt Gilbert and bring him home. But Dad and Gilbert had to say goodbye. I was fascinated by the world Dad's stories created of a place far away that my father wanted to remember and talk about. Gilbert's presence hovered slightly out of focus, and France, where it had all taken place, felt like somewhere I already knew. In high school and college, I chose to study French, but Spanish is the practical language in Southern California where I grew up, and I would continue to study French all through my adult years, pursuing a passion I couldn't explain. Near the end of my father's life, when he spoke about his time in France, his voice came out clear and strong. For those moments, he was 30 again, playing his part in turning the tide of World War II. He spoke about Gilbert then, his voice soft and wistful. I wonder whatever happened to him. Those words sparked something inside of me. My father died in 1991. In 1994, I stood on the cliffs above Omaha Beach, now the American Cemetery, a piece of American soil where over 10,000 American soldiers are buried. I was there to write about my father's part in the invasion for the 50th anniversary of D-Day and to accept a medal in his honor. My 19-year-old daughter Heather was with me, and we were going to take a tour of France after our visit to Normandy. We learned that my dad had been part of the largest land and sea invasion in the history of the world. His stories from my childhood came to life again. This is all so real, I thought. And what if Gilbert is also real and has been waiting somewhere, somehow, to hear from my dad? Though I wasn't even sure how to spell Gilbert's last name, I put an ad in the Normandy paper called West France to look for him. By a combination of miracles, synchronicity, and providence, I connected with Gilbert on what would have been my father's 80th birthday and on the last days of our trip together. In our emotional reunion, I understood my passion for knowing French. Gilbert and his family didn't speak English. When I told him that my father had never forgotten him, he wept. He had told his wife Huguette, his daughter, and his grandsons about the kind lieutenant who had loved him and had wanted to take him home to America. Someday, someone will come, he had said. This is a photo of my daughter Heather, and then Gilbert and myself. He always called me Notre Petite Américaine because I'm so much taller than he. When I found Gilbert, I vowed to never lose touch with him again, and I've kept that promise. Our many reunions over the last 31 years have included a family trip to Normandy for a grand fete in the town hall, which even included the mayor, and our picture got in the same newspaper, West France, where I advertised to find him. That's my family on the left and Gilbert and his wife on the right. Gilbert finally made his trip to America with his family, which included many fun family dinners, cable car rides in Northern California, a visit to Universal Studios, Hollywood, Tijuana, and Southern California. Here's one of our family dinners. I'm in the middle there with Gilbert. Everybody crowded together. We had such a fun time. I had 14 years with Gilbert before he passed away in 2008. At his funeral, I sat in the front pew with the family and placed a photo of Gilbert in 1944 and my dad in one frame on Gilbert's coffin. Everyone in the church that day knew the story. I visited the family in Normandy regularly, and I speak with Huguette all the time. Here's a photo from 2017 of 4 generations of my French family who know the story, and the dog Fracas. And here are our most recent photos with the family. I'm wearing my Yale sweater in that one, 2023, with the newest granddaughter, Charlie. And then last summer, when we visited again, the 4th generation of Gilbert's family. My father never could have imagined that his stories of his time in France would live on almost 70 years later, and that because of them, his beloved orphan Gilbert would be united with his American family. I believe that our passions and our pursuits can be guideposts to the deeper meaning and mysteries of our lives. My passions for French and for writing led me to Gilbert. My memoir tells the whole story. I will close with words that I feel sum up with the story. In the end, it's all about who you love and letting them know.